Many thanks for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. Now, the World Food Programme is projecting that by mid-2025, there could be acute food shortage, and they're also putting a percentage or a number to the number of people that could face acute food shortage in Nigeria, and that is by mid-2025, approximately 33.1 million people may experience acute food shortages. And of course, going further, the report says this marks a substantial increase from the 25.1 million people estimated to be food insecure between October and December 2024. Of course, these are figures, and we do have a guest in the studio this morning whom together we'll be taking a look at what is being said here and how, as a country, we can begin to mitigate or take action at ensuring that perhaps we could reduce this number or work towards this projection as it may. We have African farmer Mogaji in the studio this morning. Thank you for being here on the program, and Happy New Year to you.
Good morning. My greeting now is a fruitful year.
A fruitful year. Oh,
full year.
Amazing.
That's the report that Abimbola just read.
A fruitful year.
I'm expecting a foodful
So
year.
we need to change it from a fruitful year.
Yeah,
so
to
a fruitful year.
year.
Okay. I mean, that's quite thoughtful. That's quite thoughtful. So hopefully when we bring you back sometime in the year, we'll be able to again look at, has it really been a fruitful year?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So if we were to go by the figures that we've, let's take it from, the projection for last year. 25.1 million people would said to have cooled, between October and December. Did that really come to reality?
Oh, yes. Yes, it did, but we cushioned it a lot.
Okay.
It would have been worse. And don't forget, this projection was for a region in the country,
Right,
not the whole country. So other regions, there was this awareness, this advocacy I did that got many Nigerians, take responsibility. Many people went into production. More people came into the value chain, and more governments. I mean, at states,
right.
More state governments also rose up to the occasion. So, yes, the 25 million, yes, but it could have been worse.
Okay. But we actually got to that limit.
Yes, we got to that level.
Right.
We got to that level.
And the new projection, 31.1, is it scary, or is it something that, because I know that you work with figures a lot, and is it something that you were expecting?
Yes, I expect this figure. Okay, but it's not going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're very sure about that.
We've decided it's not going to happen.
Okay.
And so we're going to go all out to be more aggressive in reaching out to governments.
Okay.
And to balance the conversation, we have a few state governments that are at the forefront, that have been planning since last year, August.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not going to have that figures this year. We're going to make sure it doesn't happen.
Right. Okay.
Okay, if you're saying that some states have already taken action for us to mitigate the impact of the hunger that we are likely to face this year, or that we are going to face this year in some parts of the country, some of those efforts, are they sustainable enough? Are they enough to actually see us through this projection?
I believe so. I'm more optimistic now than last year because...
Optimistic and realistic.
Yes, optimistic and realistic. Realistic because I said we will not allow this to happen.
Right.
Because we will ride on the fact that there are more state governors. Federal is a given. But as there are more state governments, that don't want to be embarrassed again this year.
Okay.
So on that platform, their readiness needs pillars. Pillars of people who have knowledge and network. And that's why more of us are going to be more available to them, to ensuring that we prevent this happening. Take, for instance, Lagos states, I'll mention. There are some lands that have been prepared November last year, such that it will be early takeoff to prevent this. Okay, so I'm involved, as an observer and also, back end, but I'm just excited. Acute also is at the forefront of this. Plateau is also. So bottom line is that the states are preparing better than last year. So there's hope. As long as we continue this way, and I don't have any reason to doubt that we will follow through, we will reduce these numbers.
So when you say we, because you've been so particular about we, and so one will ask, who are the we that you're talking about here? Is it a combination of the private sector and government, or is it a combination of government and individuals that make up the we? Or if you'd like to break it down, who are the we?
Okay, so June this year will be 20 years that I changed my name to African Farmer. So it must make sense.
Right.
After 20 years of advocacy, warning and co. So this year we're going to put everything on the table.
Right.
When I say we, the individuals, private sector investors, government, we are going to see each other as successes or failures to prevent this. So if, before you would say, oh, government should do this, government ought to do this, if this year we are having that numbers, we have all failed together. So right now, it's not private sector government. We are on the same boat together right now.
So it's a communal.
It's a communal.
Right. So everybody has to be involved here.
And I'm going to be more on media to do more advocacy.
Right.
Because sometimes, the momentum at the beginning may be high, but without that sustained advocacy, and that's why you say we, even you and I, the media advocacy to ensuring that everything that needs to be done is right on point. Not that we get to like March and the steam begin to go down.
Right.
So it's a lot of sacrifice from all angles because we can't allow this to happen. 2025 is a very pivotal year for Nigeria moving forward or moving backwards.
Right.
And so we must understand where we stand as a nation, and it's the people that will pay for it. If something negative happens, it's the people who already are under pressure. So, and bottom line is, it must not happen, not under any of our watch.
Okay, looking at the allocation for agriculture this year, 826.5 billion naira, which was an increase over what we had in 2024.
Double, actually.
And some of the efforts, like you identified, that some states are put in place to mitigate the effect of this. All of this strategy and efforts, are they conscious, from your observation, are they conscious of the likely impact of climate change?
Oh, I would, at federal, it is huge. The awareness is huge at federal. At state, a few are putting climate change or into their planning. Most are not conscious, are not yet still conscious of effects of climate change. They're still planning as usual, but bottom line is they are planning better. But climate change may shock a lot of plans and projections, and that's why, again, I'm saying we will not allow that to happen, because so as simple as the seeds they're going to plant this year must be different in terms of the volume. So because we're going to have quite a lot of, we're expecting some early, I call it pseudo rain, more like false rain, to happen around February. And so once that happens around February, many people are likely to push to the farm, thinking it will be stable. And there's now going to be a 3 weeks average dry spell, which will just destroy everything. But so we need to use seeds and other organic and inorganic agro inputs that will make the crops sustain these vagaries. And we're going to have like 2 or 3 before May. And each one of those 2-3 weeks is good enough to destroy everything.
Wow. Wow. So again, inflation is one of the main issues here, and of course, when we talk about inflation, we also talk about the fact that in 2024, the purchasing power of Nigerians reduced greatly, because this also affected, transportation cost, moving goods from one place to the other, were some of the reasons, and largely also insecurity. And I know that the last time you came here, you did say that at least conflict and insecurity is gradually abating. And so in 2025, what are your expectations when it comes to government intervention in the area of security? Because again, we still cannot go to bed thinking that that issue is actually done and dusted with. And so what are your expectations when it comes to key attention the government, especially at the federal level, still needs to place on security?
Well, I think the efforts of government is on the increase. Insecurity has drastically reduced. More people have the opportunity to go to the farms, but the fear is holding people from going to the farm, and that even affected the last quarter of 2024. So more awareness needs to be done by government. It would have been good to know what they did, but also that's also
part of security measures, right?
But whatever they did, they need to please double it, so that we can continue to be secure. But at the security that we need, awareness now is more of internal,
right?
Where it's not going to be dependent on like federal again. It should now be community-based, you know, equipping them to raise awareness early, you know, that will go a long way.
Right.
Because Nigeria is so big and fragmented, even in every state, that if the security is not passed down, you know, all those efforts, you know, may be truncated, because 2 weeks of fear or 2 weeks of agitation for 2025 is good enough to throw a lot of things off balance. Right. So that's why we need it at that local level now.
Right. So sorry, Ajibola, just a follow-up to it. So if we're to take a look at, you know, this group in the north that is also still causing a little bit of unrest, the Lakurawa, and the group, which of course had come into a community under the guise of protecting communities like this. So in terms of advocacy, in terms of local intelligence, what are some of the things that the locals need to hear from? It could be their community leaders, it could be from the state governors, so that farmlands will not also be entrusted in the hands of those that will end up coming to take full advantage of those communities.
Well, I would want a situation where they could have like a emergency dial numbers. Okay, from each local government. From ward, you know, political system, we have that system
in place
fully
already.
Functional in place, ward level, so that, you know, everybody knows who to call for emergency. And so if you use that political platforms at ward, different numbers, who to call, and it can be scaled, that will really help us this year. I've always said it, and I'm repeating, radio is something that the rural community can also use to scale this communication. You know, because no thief or bandit wants to know that they know where we are right now. Okay, so we also have to think like them. They say if you want to catch a monkey,
you have to
think like
be
a
like
monkey. They don't want that consciousness that we are here. They want to escape. You know, so the more we are able to put that in place, the better. Just the same way there's going to be election, and you will hear Nigeria police are deployed, 10,000 on uniformed. So everybody is conscious that, oh, is this the person? So we need to employ those strategies also, so that this can work. But we need to feed this country this year. And we will feed this country this year. There's no two ways about it.
I like the fact that you're very optimistic. And aside from the climate smart agricultural initiative, like you identified earlier, Abimbola identified insecurity, and you have rightly said that we are improving in that sector. What are the other critical infrastructure that we need to invest in for us to be optimistic just like you, so that these will not happen?
Logistics. Logistics infrastructure, we need that, because logistics is, in Southwest, logistics is petrol. Okay, in the North, logistics is diesel, but the North takes like 70%. So right now, we need to encourage people who have trucks. I was talking to someone like 2 Sundays ago, and I was asking to say, okay, we need trucks. Do you know anybody? He said, I have 2. Functional, but we packed it, because the managers, the drivers, just make us not make money. So there are many people with these trucks that we need to put together in a system, to say, okay, your vehicle here, park there. Then all ministries, or most ministries, have buses and vehicles parked weekends. Okay, we need to use those buses in this year. All state ministries have various vehicles meant to commute staffs that after they come on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they are just parked there. We need to engage those to be able to evenly distribute. We just need to think out of the box. We don't need to buy new trucks. We need to tell the drivers, would you like to make more money? Run shifts. So you run this week's shift, another person run next week's shift because of that emotional stability also. Right. So we just need to be creative. And some of us have thought through some of these things and to just say, can we do this? So that is very crucial. We also need, because sometimes when we talk about infrastructure, most times we talk about road building, that we need improvement there, but that's not what we need. We need to see agriculture in Nigeria or food security in Nigeria as a turnaround management. When you want to turn around a business, you're focused on what do we have, not what don't we have. Okay? So what do we have? The markets. We need to be able to have some measure of control on the markets. And the people who coordinate the markets. Why? Because the people who coordinate the market exploit the people bringing the food. To let them know this is an offense against the state. If you want to exploit food.
So this is where price control comes in.
Well, I like to be careful with the
words.
Price control.
Because during the presidential media chats, President Tinubu said he does not believe in price control. That if you flood the market with a particular product, those market men and women will be forced to bring down their prices.
But it will be temporal. Just the way the politician is never in a hurry. Okay, they are very patient. They know, okay, 4 years you go, we can determine that you will not come back. That's the same way these food merchants also know that we are used to you flood it. After that flood system goes, you come back
to reality.
Take, for instance, if they want onions to be, if they flood the market currently with onions, what they do is they just say onion, sweet potato, around Magboro, Mowe, Redeem, they just tell the trucks to park there and not come to Lagos. This is a practice that has happened over the years. So they will park there, the prices will go up, and they will lose some.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. So they prefer to lose some, and then because they will get the money back at the end of the day.
This is their business also. I've always said this, part of the infrastructure we need to improve on is to find a way to support the middlemen. This is a third-generation business handed over. So they know the dynamics. They now control the trucks that bring the food, not just the farmers, not just funding the farmers. They control the trucks that bring the food. So they control the seed. They control more value chain than government. So when you push a lot in, they will wait. They have mechanism. They control the value chain. And that's why government needs to come and say, we will give you this, if it's funding.
As incentives.
As incentives. We will give you seed, so you have to sell at this price. Right now, the middleman has been perceived over the years as enemies of progress. I think about 3 years ago, the president, October 1 then, did talk about middlemen, we're going to do this. I was having an event and I had to say, sir, they are not giving you the right information. So when we demonize the middlemen, they take loans from banks also at very high interest rates. So they go and warehouse this stuff. So when they warehouse it, they are also exposed to the vagaries. So can we fund them so that we can influence them? If we don't fund them, if we don't support them, many of them have farmers linked to them. So when we want to do another anchor borrower and we should not go and look for people who have houses in Ikoyi, Lekki, oil and gas. These are the people who fund the farmers. So if you fund through them, you're sure that you can influence them. We need to really rejig what we've been doing to ask ourselves, if it has not worked, can we look at another way of doing it?
Okay.
So once we bring them together, politicians bring themselves together. You know, so that's, we need to just have, it's a mindset shift.
Right.
Not necessarily a funding or infrastructure, is a mindset shift.
Right. You talked about logistics, and I know that the Lagos State government is on a project at the moment, the Central Logistics Park in Ketu, Ekpe. Once completed, what will that park do, you know, in the chain, the value chain, and in terms of storage, what will that park bring on board?
That park is supposed, and I use the word suppose again, it's supposed to be a game changer.
Okay.
We hope it does, okay? There's good intentions because, you see, most of this food that waste can be stored right now. You know, when they complete at least the first phase, we're very optimistic of that. It can be stored, which means there's hope for people who are selling seeds. They'll sell more seeds because people will produce more. The logistics can know that, there's more to pick. So across the value chain, the logistics hub is going to be a big game changer, mostly securing Lagos food security in terms of affordability and availability, but sustainability, sustaining producers across the country. You know, so that hub, for me, is one of the best ideas that has come to fruition, but we need to ensure that it eventually works. That hub will be sustainable mostly on Southwest and not central production.
Okay.
Because if Southwest sees that hub as sustainability and wealth creation for their citizens and farmers, then the sustainability of the hub is guaranteed because it's shorter to Lagos from any Southwest, shorter from southern part of most North Central, you know, but I am still not seeing Southwest collaboration to see the hub.
Well, maybe, perhaps Lagos is driving this on its own first, and then maybe when it is delivered, then that collaboration can begin to take place. Well, it's just a thought.
So Lagos, as Lagos is driving it, because it's driving it fundamentally, the first thing is to feed Lagosians.
True.
Good. Now, Oyo, Ogun, Osun, Ondo, and Ekiti, that they don't have the financial resources like Lagos. They can raise funding to do production. They will get World Bank and FAO, they will get different developmental funding if they have an MOU with Lagos State.
Okay.
That whatever we produce will come here. So different developmental partners, private sector, will go and fund because they see a synergy.
Right.
Okay? But right now, we are hearing Niger signing MOU. We are getting Kebbi signing MOU.
Right.
We're not seeing Oyo. And that's why you're seeing Kebbi and Niger are getting a lot of investment because investors know that we are secure.
Right.
Do you get? So Southwest is still not bothered. And I'm not going to mince that words. Okay? Because Southwest, I would say, Southwest Governors Forum, unfortunately, is being led by the governor of Lagos State.
Right.
So, which I believe there's a dilemma somewhere, because this man is doing the biggest agricultural projects in the country, about 5 going on at the same time. And you're governor of a region, and a region that should be supporting. So something is missing that this year we plan to unravel.
Okay.
Okay, Folu, from time to time on this show, you have also identified the fact that farmers do not have access to tractors.
Yes.
And that's a major determinant that will also affect this projection. So do you see government doing anything significant in the year 2025, going by the budgetary allocation for agriculture this year?
Yes. Already I'm aware of, I think, 4 different mechanization schemes, which is mostly centered around tractors. Because it first starts with increased efficiency in production, not increased production. Increased production is you can cultivate more lands. But efficiency is when you need the tractor to turn the soil, will it be available to turn the soil? Okay? Then we need more, accessories because we still plant with the hand. We still spray with the hands. When we were food secure, especially when they started the river basins, it was tractors that were spraying. It is maybe another, when the crops are at a level that tractors can't really go in, that's when individuals go do the job. So mechanization is on point. We have a few accessories coming. Beyond that, we need a lot of cottage processors so that it reduces the volume of food taken on a long distance at raw level. So mechanization is crucial. I'm aware of some 2,000 tractors. The one that the president spoke about, by the way, is real. Okay.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real. So some of us have and even our information is not even from Nigeria. It's from the location where the tractors. They are on water currently.
But 2,000 when you look at the population of farmers in Nigeria.
Yes.
Is it significant?
It is not.
But it's a good
starter.
Okay.
Now, why I say that is when the 2,000 shows up, media would amplify it. They will let everybody know that this is what government is doing. And I know there's another 10,000 contracts, signed. But it just shows what government just needs to do is to show the private sector that these things are real. So everybody is moving to Niger now because Niger is showcasing. So when this tractor comes, it's small, but if deployed to significant locations and not the nation, if it is done on a regional basis.
Okay.
So the states that are deploying more resources to agriculture, if the 2,000 tractors go to Niger State, I will celebrate it.
Because of the turnover?
Because of the turnover, because of the investment. If it comes to Lagos, okay, I will celebrate it because the hubs and co are being constructed. So if we are able to cultivate every available land in Lagos, it guarantees that. So the states who have shown responsibility, they are the ones that they need to deploy it, not a function of, there's how many local governments are in the country, let's make sure it goes around. This set of tractors for 2025 does not need to go to every local government and every state.
They can go to where they're most needed.
Yes.
Okay.
So like the 10,000 tractors is over a 5-year period. Let's year 2026, the ones who will start picking up, let them have it. But it should not be politicized at local government. No.
That's going to be tough.
Because when they are raising negative alarm on federal, it's not about allocation, is you did not deliver. So for the first time, federal should try to just ensure that we want to deliver. We don't care about this distribution.
Yeah.
Because when there was this 1-week hunger protest, they were saying government. Meanwhile, government was sharing fertilizer, seed, chemicals to states. And yet we're not seeing the food. So federal government should focus on the states showing interest. They say in Yoruba, it's a child that opens the hand that the mother carries. So for our food security, we must be strategic, not political in 2025.
Right, but before we wrap up this conversation today, are there legislative measures that should be taken? Are there laws that you wish should be put in place for all of these interventions to be solidified, or should we just assume that things should be done the way they've been done in years past?
So I would say I would advocate for two.
Okay.
One is when it comes to partnership and collaboration with states, with foreign
international partners
or local partners, that any proposal that hits the table of Ministry of Justice or Accountant General, that a maximum of 2 weeks. Because you see, you hear, state government has signed this MOU. The details sometimes are not signed.
Right.
Okay, they've signed, the monies are not released.
Out.
So maybe it's a 30%, 70% conversation. The 30% needs to precede the 70. So many contracts, many MOUs are not activated because maybe it spends 7 months, Ministry of Justice, another 3 months. By the time they get to the period of implementation, so government needs to say any proposal going forward must not exceed 2 weeks.
Okay.
If it exceeds 2 weeks, you'll be queried. Very crucial. And anyone found you know, to be working against Nigeria's food security, there will be challenges. And also, we need a policy for ambassadors, as they appoint their ambassadors, that every ambassador, as part of your deliverables, is to get investors into this country, maybe 5 per quarter.
In the agricultural sector.
In the agricultural value chain.
Okay.
Okay, so without that, because there are a lot of foreigners who want to come to Nigeria, who are refused visas. We interact with a lot of them who are refused visas, or they make things complicated for them. I've witnessed India, physical, okay, in India. So once those policies come in place, then everybody knows that my job is at stake. They're expecting this. If we're able to do this when they appoint the ambassadors, it's a no-brainer. We're going to have a food-full year.
Right. Okay. Food-full year, Fulu, like you rightly said. Livestock Ministry, what should we expect in 2025?
Okay. I wouldn't expect much.
So why was it created?
Good. Now, and I will also want people to be patient with the Livestock Ministry.
Okay.
Why? Livestock is hinged on crop production, mostly maize, soya, and grasses. So if we don't have enough maize, if we don't have enough soya, there is no miracle they will do. But in terms of infrastructure, in terms of policies, in terms of operations, you know, all those is what we expect in 2025. There's no miracle they can do, because anything they want to use is dry, and that will be November, December. We're just going to be planting it July, August. So bottom line is the infrastructure, getting the right people, engaging private sector, focusing on youth. That's what, if they're trying to do anything outside that in 2025, they'll be running ahead
of time.
Because we don't forget, maize, we are competing, humans and livestock are competing for maize and soya. And please, one more policy. The Senate are doing something right now which is not, it's out of misinformation. They are still continuing with saying, don't export corn.
Yeah.
It is misinformation. You can't hold on to it and it will develop. It is when people are able to take it, just like they are floating naira. You float the naira, at some point it will balance out. The more you allow the maize to go out, the more people see the opportunity, the more the sector moves up. Petrol, we've seen it, went up, it's
coming down, right.
So if they continue that with maize, we will not be livestock secure. And I'm saying we will not. Affirmative. Because the countries that we've studied, that we've been part of, that developed their livestock sector, focused on maize and soya. And
but they think that you know, the unprocessed corn is to ensure sufficient domestic supply.
That is not practical. They should just do more research.
Okay.
Okay? You don't protect it locally if people, you see, you can bring in tractors, he can bring in chemicals.
Right.
But it is when it's a free market. If it's not a free market, it will always be artificial.
Right.
When telecom was strictly in the hands of Nitel, they were protecting and protecting. When they opened it up, initially the thing was high, and later right now, so this protectionist thing, it has not worked during the border closure. And if we do that analysis, we will see that it will not work again. Soya, now people are taking soya out of Nigeria. I plead with any policymaker listening to me, please don't go and ban that again. Soya, so the price of soya has gone up, but more people in the last 3 years, people have started producing more soya.
Right, because there is an international
There's an international demand. So the more we now produce, where they are now able to use tractors to plant, currently we use hands. If we're able to use tractors to plant, if we're able to produce with equipment and storage, what will happen is the cost will reduce.
And that could also be a source of income for the country.
And that's a source of income. So we should be looking at export and local, both together.
All right, we'll have to leave this conversation here this morning, but just like our guest has said, hopefully it will be a fruitful year for us in Nigeria, and hopefully we'll bring him back sometime soon again to look at how the journey is going, and if indeed we're still that optimistic that it will be a fruitful year. Thank you so much, African Farmer Mogaji, for finding time to be here on the program this
Thank you. I wish you all a foodful year.
All right. Okay, we'll take a quick break. When the conversation returns, it will be the turn of Joy and Adibimpe to take you through their conversation.